about the notes.
Hi everyone, it's me, Brie, and welcome back to All About the Notes. It's about midnight and I have to go to work tomorrow, but I am still up and I wanted to do a video for you guys and have this done. So basically, this one is going to be about 5 books that every musician should own. And I was kind of thinking about it as I was getting ready for bed and I was like going back to reading. I love to read, so I always have tons of books, and so if we want another list, then feel free to ask for one, because I probably have 5 more and then another 5 more that I highly recommend to read. But I want to go to 5 books that are actually, I feel personally, that no musician can live without. So without further ado, let's get into this list. So book number 1. I ended up getting this book when I was actually in college studying, and it was when I was getting into my specialty, which is commercial music. And if you don't know much about commercial music, I'm gonna do a video on that, but basically it's studying anything that is not classical. So basically jazz, popular music, hip hop, all of that. So this is when I got into my specialty, and a good introduction into the music business and the overall copyright and views was basically a music business primer. And I got this one fairly cheap. I think it was less than $40, and all the copyright laws never really change or anything like that. Everything business-wise is pretty much by the book. I mean, of course it has, you know, like certain statistics that are out of date now, but as far as like a basic understanding of how everything works and laws and your rights as an artist and musician, unions, things like that, this is your book to go to, and I highly recommend it. It's fairly cheap, so you might as well just get a copy. Book number 2 on my list. I ended up getting this one in high school, and it was basically when I was like really finding spirituality with my music, and so I highly recommend The Music Lesson by Victor Wooten. I read this book, I think more than 10 times now, because it's always just makes me like rethink about music and my growth in music and finding my spirituality in music, and it's just like a good story. So it's like, it's spirituality with a story engulfed in it, and I would get yourself a copy. I mean, I met Victor Wooten's brother. They're a very talented family, and I absolutely love the Wootens. So if they're out there hearing this, you know I love you. But this is one of my highly recommended books, and you don't get a lot of books that involve spirituality, so I would highly suggest this one. Book number 3. Sorry, was basically, I ended up getting this one in college as well. I ended up getting a lot of good reads in college. College is mostly reading, so that was where I was like, yes, I love to read. So basically, I feel like every musician should absolutely own their own theory book. So this is the one that we had in college, and many other colleges go by this one standard as well, and this one's called Tonal Harmony, and I really like this one. It has a lot of examples, so that is great in it, and I absolutely think that they do a really good job explaining everything. A lot of it's like you have to actually figure out problems and things. They have a lot of problems in this book, and so that's very helpful. I mean, every musician needs to come, I mean, this is our language, so you need to come back to your basic standard. And if you don't want to buy like I think this was like a $200 book, but I used it for 2 years of my college life, so it was worth it for me, and now I always have it. But if you are more on a cheaper end of the scale, and I would definitely suggest just The Idiot's Guide to Music Theory, because I feel a music theory book is just something every musician should have with them at all times. It is something that never grows old, so get yourself a music theory book. My 4th book suggestion is another one I got in college, and it was actually by the first book I ended up suggesting. It was the same professor that suggested this book, so he loves to read too, so that's why him and I became pretty good friends, I would say. And so this one is The Musician's Business and Legal Guide. And the reason why I love this one is because it actually gives examples of contracts. And you know, musicians, I think we always think, oh well, you know, well, I'm gonna get a music label, and then I'm gonna sign the contract, and I'm gonna make tons of money. But like, that's not the real deal of everything. You actually, you know, it's a business, and you actually have to know what you're signing, and it talks about different words in the contracts. And so I would keep this one around for the rest of your life, because when, you know, right, if you do get signed to a label or anything else like that, you're gonna want to know what BMI is, music publishing, you know, your PROs. You're gonna want to know everything, and this is gonna be your helpful guide so that way you don't get screwed over. So I would highly suggest this one. And book number 5. Now, I've read a lot of songwriting books, and I have a lot more suggestions obviously than the one that I'm going to suggest to you, but this one is a very good one if you want to know on how to make hit songs and just get down to like, this is how a song is structured, this is how you do it to make money, and this is like the things that you need to know on how to succeed in songwriting. And so this one I highly suggest. It's called The Shortcuts to Hit Songwriting. And it has 126 techniques, and I've definitely gone through and used a lot of them so that way I can figure out on how to write verses and how to write hooks. And you know, this one has been a really good one for me. I mean, there's a lot of obviously songwriting books I have read. I could probably make a whole video on that alone, but this one I would suggest to get because it just has good examples. You can go through it. It just gets right to the thing. It gives you words on to use so that way, you know, you don't ever get like, you know, stuck on what you're doing, writer's block or anything like that. So get yourself this book. If you're a songwriter, you're gonna absolutely love it. And those are my book suggestions. Like I said, I read a lot, so if you guys want another, you know, 5 books for review or me to talk about, I'm here for it. I love to read at night, so I hope this was helpful, and as always, thank you for listening.